A few years ago, I ended up living alone in a house deep in the mountains that I inherited from my parents. This house had been used as a summer retreat for my family since I was a child. But after my parents passed away, I took on the responsibility of managing it by myself. The house is surrounded by a dense forest, and it takes over an hour by car to reach the nearest town. There are no other houses nearby, and it's usually so quiet that at night, you can hear the distant sounds of insects. Hardly anyone visits this place, which makes it peaceful for me, and I have been enjoying tranquil days without any particular problems. However, one night, something strange happened. That night, as it grew late, I was reading in bed. The house was completely still, and when I checked the clock, it was past 11:30 p.m. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Ding dong. Who could it be at this hour? Surprised but not overly concerned, I headed toward the front door. No one from the neighborhood ever comes by, but maybe someone got lost and needed help. I opened the door, but there was no one outside. I looked around, but the stillness of the night remained undisturbed. Was it my imagination? A bit unsettled, I closed the door and returned to my bedroom. That night, I couldn't shake an uneasy feeling and ended up not sleeping well. The next night, at the same time, the doorbell rang again. Ding dong. Just like the previous night, I went to the door and opened it, but once again, no one was there, but the surrounding silence was otherwise unbroken. I thought it strange but went back to bed once more. But from that night on, every evening at exactly 11:30, the doorbell would ring. On the third night, the fourth night, every day, the sound came from the same place at the same time. And gradually, I began to feel a growing sense of dread. One night, unable to bear it any longer, I decided to wait for the doorbell to ring. Watching the clock, I could feel my heart race as 11:30 approached, and then, just as usual, ding dong. I rushed to open the door, but, again, no one was there. However, tonight was a little different. There was something left on the ground at the doorstep. Nervously, I moved closer and saw it was an old, small doll. It was a simple wooden doll with a face that seemed to be smiling. I picked up the doll and brought it inside. I didn't know if it was some kind of prank or if it had some deeper meaning, but at the time, I couldn't tell. From that night on, I began having strange dreams. In the dreams, I would hear someone walking around inside the house. I would sense something peeking through a crack in the door. Paralyzed with fear, I would feel a presence drawing closer to my bed. But when I woke up, no one was there. And then, a few days later, I finally realized the truth about the doorbell. It wasn't ringing from outside the house. It was coming from inside.